am extremely passionate about encouraging my children to read good books. And when I say good books, I mean books that are filled with all the character traits that I want my kids to embody. Kindness, caring attitudes, love for others and not just themselves. All the things that I'm working hard to teach them myself, reiterated in stories for them to read and hopefully love. It's not always easy teaching children these things, so if they find them in books too, it's definitely a good thing. That's why I'm trying to make sure I only give my 7-year-old, who is reading a lot now, books that are full of good morals, educational material, and generally wholesome stories. So today I'm going to share with you our favourite early chapter books, the chapter books that my 7-year-old has read and enjoyed, and generally wholesome books that I have found after researching and the places that I get them from. So I keep this bookshelf at the end of the girls' beds. This is their bunk beds here. This top row is for Miss 7, this row is Miss 5, and in the bottom we've got lots of nature books. So this shelf here is mainly Miss 7's reading chapter book section. She has got her Usborne phonics readers in here. She still reads those and still enjoys those, and we're obviously going to keep those for Miss 5 as well when she's ready. When she was showing signs of being ready to start moving on to early chapter books, I started her out with the Dr. Seuss big book, the Big Blue Book of Beginner Books. So this has got 6 stories in, which have still got simple writing and simple stories, but longer stories. So this is one story, for example. So there's not an overwhelming amount of writing, and it's still very much about the pictures, but it's preparing her for reading more in one story. So I think she was 6 when she was reading this, and then I moved her onto the early chapter books. Once she was ready to move on to the early chapter books, we found these on Amazon. We started with the Unicorn Diaries, and once she'd read all of those, we moved on to Owl Diaries. She really liked these. She got really excited about them. She would read a chapter a day. So they're written in diary form. They've got speech bubbles and still lots of fun illustrations and pictures to look at. And it's about a unicorn and her unicorn pals that go to a unicorn school together. Each book has a story with a new character, new lesson to learn, and they're usually about 6, 7, sometimes 8 chapters. And she read them all and has reread them all since then, and it is at the point now where she'll read one whole book of these in a day. Now it says on the back that it is reading level grade 2, so technically my daughter is in grade 2, but she's moved on from this level of reading at this point. After not being able to buy any more of the Unicorn Diaries, we did try the Owl Diaries, and she equally enjoyed these as well. Same sort of thing, but just the diary of an owl. It can just be so hard to find wholesome stories that are going to appeal to my daughter and hold her interest, but also have good morals, good lessons, and be at her reading level. So I have spent many hours on Amazon looking through reviews, and I was recommended by a friend on Instagram the Puppy Place books. So she's only read half of one of these books, so I can't fully recommend them, but I have been recommended them by friends that I trust, and they said that they are very sweet. They're about dogs that need adopting and homes found for them. They're not super long chapters. The stories are nice and sweet, and there's only about 8 chapters, I think maybe 10 chapters per book. Odd stories and books that I found on Amazon that she has read are Lulu and the Rabbit Next Door. This was quite sweet, but it wasn't her favourite. It's about a girl and her friend, and she absolutely loves animals and cares for animals, and when her neighbour who moves in next door doesn't love animals quite as much, she hatches a plan to teach the boy how to care for animals. This is another one of those really short early chapter books. She read this as soon as it came from Amazon. She jumped on the kitchen side and just read the whole thing. The Shelter Pet Squad she's not read yet. This has just come from Amazon, but it is slightly bigger. Less pictures, less colour, more focus on the writing, which is what I think she's ready for now. I will let you know how she gets on with this one. If you haven't already checked out the Good and the Beautiful book list, then I strongly suggest you do, especially if you're like me and you only want wholesome books that have got good morals. Then yeah, check out that list, because that's where I got these from. These weren't the highest recommended at all, but I did grab them because they are girly and they have been reviewed by the Good and the Beautiful, and they said that they are of good literary value. And then actually from the Good and the Beautiful library, they only make wholesome educational books, by the way. I got the Princess Penny Saves the Day and Anne-Marie's Reading Adventures. I have actually placed another order with them for, I think, 5 other books from their library, all at the level 2, reading level 2, which she's starting level 2 language arts in September. She read this one in about a week. So she read a chapter a night to me in bed. Nice big writing, cute pictures, a nice story about helping and overcoming adversity. Now this is what I like, the challenging words are at the beginning of each story. The second story, it tells you what the challenging words are, so you can teach them those before they begin the story. I'm so excited for the other books I've ordered to arrive. The Good and the Beautiful is an American shop, so there is a shipping fee if you're in the UK like me, but it has drastically reduced. So I think I got 5 books, including shipping, and it was about £35. So that's quite expensive for books, but considering it's so hard to come by wholesome, sometimes Christian, sometimes just morally sound books, it's very, very hard to find. So I was willing to pay that shipping to get books from the Good and the Beautiful, and it's also where I purchase a lot of our curriculum. And then up here, I believe, yep, this is her current read. I picked this up in the works for like £3, and she's really enjoying it so far. She's reading it independently, not with me, and has been telling me all about it. So to give you a quick background on how I went from the very simple early chapter books with her having to read with me next to her for every page, to her now reading this in bed or in the afternoons all on her own. The way that we done it was I just accepted she wanted my help, needed me next to her, so we carved out half an hour in each school day, sometimes not even that, to just read a chapter or 2. Sometimes she'd want to read sort of 3 chapters at a time because she enjoyed it, and I just helped her. I reminded her to pause at the full stop or the commas. I reminded her all the things she's learned about reading and how to read, and speech marks and things like that. And that just built her confidence, really. So by the time we'd moved on to the Owl Diaries, she'd learned and read so much with me sitting next to her with those, that she was reading these ones on her own. It's really important that we know what our children are reading, and you know, they learn a lot from what they read. They learn a lot by example. And before I say anything else, I'm just going to point you to the link in my description with the video that gives a really good explanation on why it's important to know what your children are reading. And it's from the Good and the Beautiful as well. Again, I absolutely love everything that they stand for, and I so am for making sure my children are being led by good examples with good books. Always check reviews. If you can't pre-read every book that you give your child, always check the reviews. There's lots of blog posts online, and of course, like I said, the Good and the Beautiful have a book list with reviews, which has been so helpful for me, and that's how I found these. So these are the first chapter books that she has read, is reading, and has yet to read. I hope it was helpful. That is my goal, to just share what has worked for us, what didn't work, show you inside, give you ideas, and I hope that that's what I'm doing. I purchased, I think, almost all of these from Amazon, except for the Good and the Beautiful were from their website, and the Puppy Place books were from Schoolhouse website. Schoolhouse do seem to do a great range of the children's early chapter books, and you can search by grade level, reading level or age. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe and continue to follow our homeschool journey.